immediately. And the Pentagon plans to send an anti-missile defense system, as we told you, to Israel. 4 IDF soldiers dead now from Hezbollah drone strikes in northern Israel. Joining me now to assess is Ricoh Danielson, U.S. Army combat veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan, to discuss the latest escalations in the Middle East. Ricoh, thank you so much for joining us. The U.S. Embassy in Beirut today giving its strongest warning yet, advising American citizens to depart immediately. What does this say about the long-term projections of what we'll see unfold in the Middle East, and how serious should these warnings be taken?
Yeah, good to be on the show, Steve. Thank you so much for having me on. So whenever the embassy and any embassy in the world releases a statement saying, hey, the citizens of that embassy should leave, more than likely there's an imminent attack of some sort of magnitude and massive attack coming. So the threat intelligence is telling us that more than likely this is going to escalate and very quickly, very fast, and also to a magnitude that nobody has probably ever seen, probably more than likely since the Iraq-Afghan war, the invasion, and also the shock and awe. So I wouldn't be surprised if this propagates even bigger and bigger and becomes more of a bolsterous issue for the region and causing regional destabilization.
Yeah, the U.S. sending a high-altitude anti-missile defense system plus 100 U.S. troops to Israel. This after Iran's missile attack on Israel about 2 weeks ago that the Israelis have yet to respond to. How significant is this support from the U.S. for Israel's war against Iranian proxies?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if you really think about it, this is called the king of battle. The United States is sending the king of battle into the Israeli war area. And that's just in a very big, significant message to the adversary, whether it's Hezbollah, Hamas, or Iran. This type of warfare and also this type of long-range missile and short-range missile will mitigate threats. And the message they're trying to say is nobody's without reach. Everybody's within the reach of these missiles. And it's trying to show that there should be a ability to come as a cohesive nation together so we don't have to launch these missiles at each other and for each other.
Now, Israel has not yet indicated how it will respond to Iran's missile attacks, but Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant last week reportedly said a counterattack will be deadly, precise, and surprising. How does Israel calculate its response? What are you anticipating? And how do you think Iran will ultimately respond to this attack?
So Israel is very precise, very efficient and effective, and very clean and smooth how they do their deal. More than likely, if I'm on the Israeli side, I would target their high-value targets, probably more than likely the Ayatollah itself and the underlings below it. And then on top of that, do a sequential order, a 3-in-1 hit, do them all at one time, and kind of wipe the slate very easily, very smooth. And then on top of that, take out critical infrastructure to the military, not to the civilian, but to the military. Their battery, their supply chain, their uranium, anything of that matter. That's how Israel more likely do that in a systematic approach and a unison approach.
Now, Hezbollah, obviously an Iranian proxy, one of their drones striking and reportedly killing 4 IDF soldiers, injuring more than 60 on Sunday at a base in northern Israel. Talk to us about the capability that Hezbollah still has despite Israel's targets and strikes on its key leaders.
Yeah, Israel does not underestimate Hezbollah or the other regions of Hamas as well. They know for a fact they're a nitty-gritty fighter and they use by any means possible. So more than likely Hezbollah is not too militarized, even though they do paramilitary operations. They're using free drones, any type of drone that they can possibly get their hands on, home remedied weaponry, and also any sort of explosives. So they're trying everything that they can. And unfortunately, Hezbollah is going to meet their demise because you have a war machine such as Israel, who's been backed by the United States, that will take the fight to them. And even the country of Lebanon does not want Hezbollah in their country, so they're pushing them to the corridor so they fight them head-on, one-on-one with Israel.
Now, an Israeli strike on the grounds of a hospital in central Gaza earlier today, reportedly killing 4 people, injuring roughly 70. The IDF saying that it was targeted at a Hamas command center in a lot adjacent to the hospital and took steps to mitigate harm to civilians. What is your perspective on some of this sad but true collateral damage as someone who has fought in the Middle East?
So war is dirty. War is not pretty. There will always be casualties and collateral damage, unfortunately. More than likely, Israelis have targeted their Hezbollah and also Hamas targets, and they knew precisely where they were. Unfortunately, a lot of Hezbollah and Hamas targets hide within their civilians and also hospitals. And unfortunately, this is one of those atrocities of war. Israel does not want to kill innocent humans. They want to kill the enemy, and the enemy is cowardness to go and hide in the hospitals.
Ricoh Danielson, appreciate your insights.
Absolutely.